There's a really good point on the issue of healthcare that somebody made on Twitter that I needed to share with you because I really think this says everything about the Democratic opposition to Medicare for All. The Democrats just spent $52 billion to subsidize COBRA for 1.3 million people until September. That's $40,000 per person for less than 6 months of health insurance. Most countries spend about $5,000 to $6,000 per person per year for universal health care. So do you understand that? This tweet is brilliant, by the way. It really is. Because what it highlights is the objection was never over the dollar amount. Because they're spending way more with what they just did. And the way the system was before this reinforcement of COBRA, it was the same thing. They're spending way more than they should be. So it was never about the price tag, ever. It's not really an ideological disagreement. It's just not. You know what the disagreement is? A lot of Democratic politicians, and virtually all Republican politicians, they take a lot of money from for-profit health insurance companies. Take a lot of money from Big Pharma. They take a lot of money from various special interests that have a vested interest in keeping this system the same because they're getting phenomenally wealthy. And so who really cares that patient care is down the list of priorities? They don't really care. Democratic politicians don't care. These giant companies don't care. But this says it all, doesn't it? $40,000 per person for less than 6 months of health insurance versus most developed countries spend $5,000 to $6,000 per year per person for universal health care. The whole point of the U.S. healthcare system and insurance system is it's a scam within a scam on top of a scam. Everybody's scamming everybody. Everybody's skimming way too much money and running out the back door with it. So that's what happened. Let's take tax money and shower health insurance companies with it. That's what we'll do. And we'll spend an obscene amount of money making them wealthy. That's where we're at. And by the way, somebody made a good point. They said, hold on. When Joe Biden ran, he ran on public option. He totally dropped public option like that, and nobody in the media held him accountable even a little bit. See, it's one thing, he should have been for Medicare for all, because 80% or so of the Democratic Party is for Medicare for all. The voters are for Medicare for all. So he should have been arguing for that. He wasn't arguing for that. So he has a very undemocratic position. He was arguing for public option. Then he gets elected, immediately drops public option, and just wants to, tweak around the edges to make Obamacare better. In reality, it was all about shoveling more tax money to his donors in the health insurance industry. And that's what this is. So listen, the fact of the matter is, if you do single payer Medicare for all, you cover everybody and it costs less and it saves money. In fact, it's supposed to save, I think over a decade, there's a study that says it saves $5 trillion. Medicare for all would save $5 trillion. Now, why is that? Well, listen, you got rid of the unnecessary, rapacious, for-profit middleman. So when you get rid of, really, the health insurance companies, they're a mafia. They get in between you and your doctor, and they take a cut. And by the way, they deny care. That's what they do. They tell you, well, this is covered and this is not covered. The other thing is they don't let you see whatever doctor you want to see. Some doctors are in-network and some doctors are out of network. So you need to go to an in-network doctor. So they get in between you and your doctor. They take their cut and they tell you what isn't covered and tell you who you can and can't see. They're providing no value. None. Zero. They don't need to be there. The whole idea of a single payer system is the government is the single payer, the single insurer. So you pay tax money to the government, and the government pays for your care. That's how, every developed country has one version or another of a universal healthcare system. We don't. Even after Obamacare, we don't. We still have millions of people who don't have insurance. And this is the approach the Democrats are taking. Shower tax money on the health insurance companies so that they get wealthy during this pandemic, during this crisis. You would think that in a pandemic that, health insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, they'd be doing the worst. No, they're swimming in cash because our whole system is a scam. The whole system is rigged. The reason why they don't want to do single-payer Medicare for all is because the health insurance companies would basically be out of existence because there's no reason for them. It's putting the mafia out of business. And guess what? That mafia pays the politicians, so the politicians work for them. And that's why you get this fact about Cobra and what the Democrats did. So listen, it's beyond pathetic because what are your options? Your options are this. So the Democrats will expand health insurance, right? But they'll do that by forcing you to go to the private market and showering them with tax money. It's all a scam. And the Republican position is, as Alan Grayson years ago pointed out, and he's correct to point out, is fuck off and die. Or what he said, I forget the exact terminology, but don't get sick, and if you get sick, die quickly. I think that's what he said, and it led to a backlash. People were so outraged. Oh my God, how could you say that? No, but literally the Republican plan or the Republican approach in the Obama era and onward to healthcare was, how about we do nothing and you fuck off? Okay, well, you're saying I don't want to do anything on this front. You do know that about 45,000 to 60,000 people die every year in America because they don't have access to basic health care. So if you say, I don't want to change anything, and up to 60,000 people die, what you're saying is, I don't care that those 60,000 people die. I don't care. I don't view that as a problem. I don't view that as an issue. If I viewed it as an issue, I'd try to fix it. I'm not trying to fix anything. I don't view it as an issue. So yeah, if you get sick, die quickly is pretty much their plan. That's their plan. So those are your options. Total corporate sellouts who shower money on their donors and give you a little bit more healthcare, or people who say, don't get sick, and if you get sick, die quickly. That's the U.S. Political system. I wish I had a witty way to end this segment and give you a positive spin on it, but I don't.